Okay, so imagine this. You get dropped into this, like, unbelievably fancy mansion. You're
Whoa.
with 11 other people you've literally just met, and there's $1 million on the line.
A cool million. Always gets people interested.
But here's the twist. One person in that room. They already have the money. Secretly.
Ah, okay. So it's not about winning it, it's about finding who has it.
Exactly. And you have to figure out who that secret millionaire is, get everyone else to vote them out
Okay.
before they figure you out, or just decide they don't like you and vote you off instead.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a pressure cooker situation. Luxury, but pure paranoia.
Totally.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't just some thought experiment. We're doing a deep dive today into a brand new Netflix reality show that does exactly this. It's called Million Dollar Secret.
Right, $1 million secret. And for our analysis today, we're really digging into what the Urban Herald uncovered in their detailed review. They've watched it, broken it down.
Yeah, they really got into the nuts and bolts. So our mission here is to unpack everything from that analysis, how the game actually works, who the players are, the setting.
And why it seems to be grabbing people's attention
Yeah.
based on what they found.
Oh,
We want to
okay.
pull out the really interesting stuff.
Go beyond just a summary, Explore what makes it tick, what makes it different, all based on that Herald breakdown.
So think of this as your inside track on $1 million secret. Getting the concept, the unique bits, why it might be your next binge watch.
All through the lens of that analysis. Okay, so let's get into this setup. What did the review say? 12 strangers arrive.
At this place called the Stag, the review described it as a jaw-dropping lakeside mansion.
Yeah.
Seriously high-end.
And boom, right away, one of them secretly gets handed $1 million.
Yeah, find the millionaire. That's the game.
That starting point, it just flips everything, doesn't it? Most shows, everyone's chasing the same prize.
Exactly. Here, the prize is already in someone's pocket. So the tension immediately splits, right? Some are hunting, one is hiding.
And deflecting, probably.
Oh, absolutely. Strategically deflecting.
So the review goes into how this works. Everyone gets a box, only one has the cash. The millionaire has to lay low, obviously.
And the review highlighted this, they also get secret tasks from the host. A secret agenda, they call it, to get advantages.
Ah, okay. Little side missions.
Yeah, keeps them active, not just hiding. But here's what the Herald analysis really flagged as fascinating.
Yeah.
What happens if the others do find the millionaire?
Right, they vote them out. Then what?
If they're correct, the review says the $1 million is secretly passed on to someone else still in the game.
Wait, seriously, so you vote out the millionaire?
And suddenly someone else becomes a secret millionaire. The hunt just resets. New target.
Whoa, okay, that is a huge twist. The review mentioned that, right? As a key difference.
Absolutely. It means getting it right one night gives you zero long-term security. It just shuffles the deck. The review compared it to shows like The Traitors or The Mole, but that constant shifting target, that feels new.
Yeah, because in those, the bad guys are usually fixed. Here.
Here, your closest ally, the one who helped you vote out the last millionaire. They could literally be the next millionaire 5 minutes later.
How do you build any trust like that? The review must have touched on the alliances.
It implies it creates this massive instability. Alliances are temporary, purely transactional maybe, because how can you genuinely trust anyone long-term?
Okay, let's talk about the host. The review mentioned Peter Serafinovich. People might know his voice, right? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, or Shaun of the Dead. And the Urban Herald piece really highlighted his contribution. They said he brings this deliciously sardonic energy.
Sardonic. That sounds about right for a show like this.
Exactly. A host with that kind of dry wit, a bit of playful menace. It just amps up the psychological game, delivering bad news with a smirk. The review suggests he's a perfect fit.
It's the setting. The Stag at Chateau Okanagan,
Sure.
British Columbia. The review made it sound incredible.
Oh, yeah. 44 acres, private beaches, wine cellar, a cinema. The works. Definitely not roughing it.
But it's not just for show, is it? The review mentions strategy.
Right. The review pointed out the mansion's layout, labyrinthine, secret rooms like the trophy room, lots of secluded corners. It's all part of the game.
So places for secret chats for the millionaire to do their secret tasks?
Exactly. And it just adds drama, doesn't it? The review kind of joked, betrayal in a ballroom just hits different.
Huh, true. All that luxury, but you can't trust a soul. So who are the people trying to navigate this? The review mentioned the cast.
Yeah, described as refreshingly diverse. 12 contestants, wide age range, 20s to 60s, different jobs.
That sounds crucial for a game like this. You need different types of people.
Totally. The review listed some cooks, police officers, CEOs, life coaches, poker players, professors.
Wow, quite the mix.
And that variety, as the review suggested, brings different skills to the table, right? Observation, bluffing, reading people, strategy. It stops it feeling like everyone's playing the same way.
You get different archetypes emerging.
Exactly. The social butterfly, the quiet observer, the analyst, the bold schemer. The review suggests this diversity is a real strength.
Did it name names just to get a feel for them?
It did, yeah. Season 1 had Kara Keys, an in-and-out cook, Samantha Sam Hubbard, a police officer, Corey Niles, a builder, Sydney Faulkner, medical sales, Jamie Alexander, life coach, Lydia Blair, retired escrow agent and poker player, and Phil Roundtree, a college professor and therapist.
Just hearing those jobs, you instantly start thinking, okay, how would they play?
Right. A cop's investigation skills, a poker player's bluffing, a therapist reading micro-expressions. The review implies their real-world skills definitely come into play.
Okay, so let's get deeper into the actual gameplay, the strategies. The review must have detailed how people figure things out. It's not just guessing, right?
No, not just random accusations. The main way, according to the review's breakdown, is through daily challenges.
Ah, okay. Classic reality show element.
Yep. Players compete, and the winners get access to this special place called the trophy room.
The trophy room sounds important.
It is. That's where they get clues about who the millionaire might be. It's the intel hub.
Okay, but tying clues to challenges, that creates a power dynamic, doesn't it? Like, if the same strong players keep winning...
They control the information flow. Yeah, the review touched on that it could sideline people who aren't challenge beasts. Raises fairness questions, maybe?
Interesting. So you get clues, you strategize, then the elimination dinner.
Exactly. Every night, they gather, make their cases, point fingers, and vote. Most votes goes home.
And if they vote out the millionaire...
Like we said, money secretly gets reassigned. Game continues.
And if they vote out someone who isn't the millionaire...
Then an innocent player is just gone, and the actual millionaire breathes a sigh of relief and gets closer to keeping the cash for good.
Man, the pressure. But the review mentioned another layer, right? Something the millionaire can do.
Yeah, a really interesting strategic option highlighted in the review. If the heat is really on the current millionaire, like they think they're definitely getting voted out, they can choose to voluntarily give up the $1 million.
Give it up. Why?
To avoid being eliminated. They stay in the game, but now as a regular player, hoping maybe they get the money back later if it gets reassigned again.
Wow. So it's a gamble.
Yeah.
Give up the prize now for a chance to survive and maybe get it back later.
Pure risk calculation. How much is survival worth versus holding on to the prize? The review suggests this adds a fantastic strategic layer. It's not just hiding, it's active risk management.
Okay, so the review definitely compared this to other big shows in the genre. The Traitors, The Mole.
Yeah, it acknowledged the shared DNA, the social deductions, secret roles, challenges, eliminations. You see the influences.
But it also stressed the differences.
It did. It really pointed to that shifting millionaire role as the big one. The target isn't fixed like a traitor or the mole. And the specific way clues are delivered via the trophy room. The review argued these aren't just copies, they're refinements on the formula.
So the enemy within could be anyone, and that could change overnight.
Precisely. Creates a unique kind of paranoia, the review implies.
All right, so pulling it all together from the Herald's analysis, what did they say really works about the show, the strength?
Okay, several things stood out in the review. One, intensely suspenseful and addictive. The core mystery just keeps you guessing.
Hooks you in.
2, the diverse cast. We talked about a big plus. 3, Peter Serafinovich is hosting witty and sardonic. Elevates the whole thing.
Right.
4, the setting, the stag, beautiful but also strategically important. 5, the mechanics, the secret agenda, trophy room, reassignment twist create real strategic depth.
Lots of layers for players and viewers to track.
And finally, the pacing. Only 8 episodes, released in batches, so the review found it binge-worthy and doesn't drag.
Sounds pretty solid. But reviews usually have some critiques too. Did the Urban Herald mention any downsides?
The main ones seem to be about originality. Does feel too much like the Traitors sometimes, although, like we said, the review felt it did enough to differentiate itself.
It kind of walks that line between familiar and fresh.
Yeah. And then there's always that background hum in these shows about producer influence. You know, how much is truly organic versus maybe nudged for drama, especially with the secret money reassignment.
That's always the question with reality TV, isn't it? How real is it?
Exactly. A meta game for viewers. The review also mentioned maybe some occasional pacing lulls if one alliance gets too dominant for a stretch,
Yeah, yeah. Steamrolling can happen.
and that the clue system, while cool, could create unfair advantages if access is imbalanced. But, interestingly, the review concluded that even if you see some familiar reality tropes, the finale still delivered surprises.
Good to know. So the basic flow of an episode sounds like wake up, scheme, challenge, clues, more scheming and paranoia than the big elimination dinner.
Yeah, that's the core rhythm. And with only 8 episodes, the review suggests it stays pretty tight, focused on the game, not a lot of filler, keeps the tension up.
So who should be watching this then? Who's the target audience, according to the Herald's take?
Well, if you're into social deduction games, board games like Mafia, Werewolf, or shows like The Traitors, The Mole, even the strategic parts of Survivor, the review basically says this is right up your alley.
Makes sense.
It's for people who love psychological games, watching strategies unfold, seeing alliances form, and then just spectacularly implode.
Which they always do.
Right, and trying to figure out the mystery yourself from the couch. If you like putting on your detective hat, the review calls it a must-try.
Okay, so summing up what we've pulled from this Urban Herald review, $1 Million Secret sounds like a stylish, tense, pretty smart reality competition.
Yeah, it takes good ideas from other shows, but adds its own flavor, especially with that shifting millionaire thing in the clue system. It feels distinct enough.
It really leans into the suspense, the strategy, the sheer drama of watching people try to lie and ally their way through, all while living in this crazy fancy house.
That luxury backdrop just makes the backstabbing seem sharper somehow, as the review highlighted.
And the show apparently keeps asking that question. How far would people go for $1 million? Reading this review, you can't help but ask yourself, right?
Totally.
If you were in that mansion, the stag, knowing the money's real, floating around,
Yeah.
what's your play? Are you the social charmer?
Or the quiet observer, the poker face?
Or do you just go full schemer? It really makes you think, doesn't it? About where the game ends and, actual trust begins. Or if it even can with that much cash involved.
It's a fascinating question. Definitely something to chew on.